This week on Rock Feed After Dark, your weekly new music release party, Sleep Token fans are already elated by the release of that new single Emergence, the announcement of the new album Even in Arcadia, and that massive US tour that quickly sold out in just a couple of days. But wait until you see what they're up to next. Plus, we've got a new song from Linkin Park. Kiss is absolutely unhinged, and Shameless. We will get to more of that in just a moment. So much to get to this week, so stick around. I'm so excited for Rock the Country. 9 massive shows bringing country and rock legends to your hometown, featuring your co-headliners Kid Rock and Nickelback, and so much more. Get passes and full details at rockthecountry.com. So we talked recently about the absolute explosive growth that Sleep Token has been having. The band put up crazy numbers with this new single Emergence. Even their COO at RCA Records was speaking out about how crazy that is doing. They are signed to a major label. Very few rock bands are. And so they're talking about kind of the seismic activity that's happening with this band and just the amount of growth that they've had. But as if the single wasn't already enough, there are some big things apparently happening with Sleep Token in the very near future, and a meteorologist, oddly enough, is the one that is kind of breaking this news. It's very, very crazy and very cool how creative Sleep Token has gotten with all of this stuff with the band, considering they're not able to fully promote like other bands are. They don't really give interviews and stuff like that. But this is what is going down right now with Sleep Token that has so many people talking. In a new interview with Billboard, that COO at the record label opened up about this massive success. Understandably, he's very stoked. Here's a little bit what he had to say about what's happening with Sleep Token in rock right now. Emergence debuted at number 57 on the Hot 100. Like I said, this is up there with a ton of pop tracks. It says an enormous first full streaming week with 9.9 million streams from the week of March 14th to 20, according to Luminate. They spoke to RCA Records COO John Fleckenstein, who is obviously very stoked about how well things are going. He told them, "Gratifying is the word for it. I think it validates an incredibly passionate fan base that has only gotten bigger over time. For us to help make the connection between the world that they're creating, the music that they're making, and fans, we're absolutely thrilled." He said, "This is their music, their art, their world. There's something beautiful here in terms of what they're creating and something borderline magical about the community they've made." He spoke about what is seemingly a surge in rock music. I absolutely love to hear this. This truly makes me happy. He says, "I do actually think there's been a bit of a shift in the market where there seems to be a greater pull towards live instrumentation." Wow. One would think that this would be a style of consumption from a really passionate fan base that shows up on day one, and then everything starts to fall off. We're not seeing that here at all. We're actually seeing this song get stronger. This is transcending what most people want to do, which is say, oh, this is metal, or this is country, or this is pop. This is just being seen as popular music right now, and people are liking it for what it is. These are not numbers that we see out of a metal genre or even a rock genre today. These are numbers that are competitive across anybody in the marketplace. Wow. Now, with all of that happening and so much hype still surrounding their single Emergence, we are getting a major hint about what could be happening with Sleep Token in the coming days. It appears that new music from the band is imminent after a meteorologist who is known for being a metalhead teased an announcement, a release from Sleep Token. Here's what's going down. So this is Chris, is a meteorologist for a local network in Raleigh, North Carolina, WARL. And he's a big metalhead and he's very creative. He finds cool ways to implement rock and metal music into his forecasts. And it appears that he's taking things even further now, revealing that new Sleep Token music could be on the way. Whoever came up with this idea, very cool to get him involved. I love creative stuff like this. This is what happened on that recent broadcast. Chris recently shared this video on his social media with the Sleep Token logo on a monitor in the background, but it's his caption that's really grabbing people's attention. He says, prepare. March 29th, Sleep Token. It seems like the band is getting him involved. This is also a collab post with the official local network itself. It seems like this is very credible that new Sleep Token music could be releasing tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, over the weekend, imminently. And if that happens, keep it locked here to Rockfeed because, of course, I'm going to be covering this extensively. What is happening with Sleep Token in rock right now is truly extraordinary, and I couldn't be more excited. Next up, Deftones is currently out on their massive North American tour. It looks so much fun. I'm hoping to catch this tour soon. But fans in Nashville, Tennessee got a very special treat when the band brought out none other than Paramore's Hayley Williams to take the stage with the band for Minerva. Here's a little bit of that. And as many of you pointed out, this isn't the first time that Hayley Williams has performed with Deftones. She previously took the stage for a rendition of Passenger with the band. It's clear she's a big fan of the group. And next up, there are a lot of people rolling their eyes at Kiss right now because the band just announced something that is, I don't want to say shocking, more so disappointing. The band about a year and a half ago played their final show. There was so much anticipation and hype about this as they took the stage. The final time at Madison Square Garden, they even had a pay-per-view. This was the culmination of the end of the road tour. And now the band has announced they are unretiring. They're taking the stage once again, and so many people are just scratching their heads at this. Really a shameless move by Kiss. This was already their second farewell tour, and now the band is getting back up on stage. Gene Simmons has repeatedly said rock is dead, and add to that, Kiss is absolutely shameless. Also, check this thing out that Gene was promoting for his solo tour. I've never seen, Kiss is already pretty shameless with their self-promotion, but I've never seen anything going this far. It was an opportunity to be Gene Simmons' roadie for a day, but he's not paying you. You got to pay him for the opportunity to work for him, and the asking price is absolutely insane. Here's more. Gene Simmons raised eyebrows to say the least when he announced the ultimate Gene Simmons experience. You will be Gene Simmons' personal assistant and band roadie for a day. The experience includes meeting up with Gene and the band on the show day. You'll be a part of the team crew for the entire day. You get a crew member shirt and laminate. You then arrive for load in and you help the band load in to the venue. You then help them set up for the show. You hang out backstage. You sit in on sound check. Then Gene will bring you on stage during the show and introduce you. You get a set list signed by him, and you can take photos throughout your entire experience. You get to bring one guest, and you can bring up to 4 items for Gene to sign, and then you get a rehearsal bass signed by Gene. And for the incredible opportunity to be Gene Simmons' employee, no, there's no compensation for you to help the band load in and be their roadie. In fact, you've actually got to pay Gene, and it's not a few $100. Ladies and gentlemen, the whopping asking price for this experience is $12,400. And now Gene Simmons is reacting to the backlash from this. He is defending his decision to put on this crazy experience. Speaking to the Post, Gene Simmons is defending that decision to offer that massive $12,000 package to be his roadie. He says that it's something no one's ever done before. He said, "When I was a kid and I went to see shows, I was always curious. What's it like when they're in a hotel? What's it like when the stage is set up? What's it like being on stage when they're performing and seeing the audience from the stage? I decided, you know what? Nobody's ever done it. Why not open the idea to be my personal roadie for the day?" It's pretty shameless, and even worse, somebody will probably pay for that experience, so whatever. But also, unfortunately, people will also probably pay for the experience to see Kiss after the band famously retired for the second time, and now they're coming out of that retirement for another performance. Truly beyond parody at this point. Kiss, it's like part of their brand, just being shameless. They've monetized every item whether it's caskets, socks, pinball machines, and then repeatedly telling their fans they're going to retire and then just not doing it. But you pay the premium. They go, thanks for the money. Thanks for paying for this retirement and showing up like it's one last time. But oh yeah, we're actually going to play again. Here are the details of this. Maybe they're not even saying it's a final show either. So it's like there'll probably be more. Here's everything we know about Kiss coming out of retirement. Kiss will perform their first show since they famously retired at their Kiss Army Storms Vegas event in November. It's a 3-day convention taking place from November 14th through the 16th at the Virgin Hotels in Las Vegas. And it will include a live and unmasked performance by Kiss. Not the first time we've seen them unmasked. Of course, they had that era where they were unmasked and it was very controversial. But they explained in further detail about this show, featuring Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, and a variety of special guests to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Kiss Army Fan Club. Fans of the Kiss Army will get first dibs, which include a $50 yearly subscription to get access to that. And the event has packages ranging from $999 to $4,900 per person, with a variety of merchandise, concert seats, and even sound check access as well. No word on whether or not you can also pay $12,000 to be Gene's roadie at this event too, but that is what is happening in the world of Kiss. Falling in Reverse frontman Ronnie Radke this week called out Godsmack and had a little bit of fun with the situation, saying that they're copying his homework when the band is doing their backstage entrance like we've seen Ronnie and Falling in Reverse do live on stage. Here's a little bit of that moment.
Hey, what's up, Ronnie? It's Godsmack. Hey, what's up, Godsmack? Can we copy your homework? Yeah, you guys can copy the homework. Just don't make it look obvious. Yeah, no problem. Cool. Hold my lower back sun tattoo real quick.
I want to give a very special shout out to my feed fam. These are the top rock feed supporters that directly support my work. You see them with the special badges next to their name in the comments. They get a lot of perks, and it's only $5 signing up directly through YouTube here in the description, but it makes a very big difference. So thank you to the feed fam for all of the support. Next up, we have Megadeth frontman Dave Mustaine, who's currently working on the band's new album. And in a recent interview, he went off on nu metal bands. It's clear that he hates nu metal as a genre, and he feels they're not talented musicians. Obviously, I love nu metal. I've loved them my whole life. I don't understand this, but this is what Dave Mustaine had to say about all of this. Speaking in a new interview with Life Minute, Dave Mustaine reflected on the late 90s and early 2000s nu metal era, saying there was a period in the 2000s where we had these bands called, I think it was nu metal, and they didn't do any solos. Why didn't they do any solos? They couldn't do solos. Thank God that genre went away. People started to learn how to do solos. I would say if you're in a nu metal band, you probably would be challenged even playing Chuck Berry's Johnny B. Good. I'm glad it went away. First of all, there's a lot of very talented musicians in nu metal bands, and on top of that, it's kind of ironic considering Megadeth is literally about to go out on tour with the mighty Disturbed, who was a big part of that era. Anyways, really crazy. And now in a new interview with Metallica's Kirk Hammett, he's opening up about how the band could potentially go back to their load and reload era sounds, and he feels at the time they weren't appreciated, but now they're getting a lot more respect. Here's more. Speaking to the Rolling Stone Music Now podcast, Kirk Hammett opened up on that signature sound from the load and reload era, which was much more of a hard rock sound. I really love some of the tracks from that time, including songs like Bleeding Me, which I think is seriously underrated from the band. Talking about that sound, Hammett said, yeah, who knows? We might just say, okay, let's go back to the 90s again. He spoke on how those records got a lot of hate at the time, but he says now people are much more appreciative. He says, we play Fuel and people go nuts. And this week, Nancy Wilson from Heart said she's embarrassed to be an American in a new interview. Obviously, she's had a huge amount of success here in America, but she's feeling embarrassment for the country. This is what she had to say. In a new interview with the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, Heart's Nancy Wilson said it's embarrassing to be an American right now. She spoke on the country's current climate. She said, there's a salacious billionaire culture that is so greedy and gross. It's like the worst of the worst is celebrated as cool, even during Vietnam. it wasn't as ugly as it is now. Well, here at Rockfeed, I'm definitely proud to be an American. Next up, let's talk about 3 Days Grace and Adam Gontier's highly anticipated return to the band. I had the opportunity to see them perform last week, and we caught up with Adam and 3 Days where he talked about his special return to this group.
It's been amazing. Last time we talked, we were talking a little bit about it, but we weren't really getting into detail. But yeah, man, it's been incredible. I mean, new music, and we're hanging out and playing shows, and it's just been awesome.
Can you share how long you knew this and like how hard of a secret that must have been to keep with that such a big news in rock?
Yeah, I think we were. Was it like a year, roughly, maybe, that we had been working?
Sort of started talking about the idea a bit a few years back, and of the idea of doing this, and everybody was in. We talked to Adam. I think we called you in 22. When we were on tour, we were in England. And I remember Bragg called Adam. I was like, well, why don't you see if it's even a thing that could happen? Maybe Adam wouldn't be into it, but he was all in, and we were all in. So we started back then, the idea of it. Finished out the tour of the last cycle of the record, and then we finished in 23 touring that record, the last record. And then in the spring, we decided to all get back together. And, Adam lives down near Nashville, and I live up southern Indiana, so all the guys came down, and we got together at my place in the studio. Wow. And just started writing, and it was funny because it was like we've been doing this all along. We just all said, hey, good to see you, hug, and then right on to writing tunes, And Mayday was one of the first songs we wrote in that first run, I think, wasn't it?
Yes.
We put that one together, yeah.
And now let's talk about all the great music that's happening this week. We have a brand new track out everywhere now from Linkin Park, following last year's release, that comeback release of their new album, From Zero, featuring their new singer, Emily Armstrong. The band is in the midst of a very busy 2025 touring season, and the new music video for Up From the Bottom is out everywhere now. This week, we also got brand new music. The first new track in years from Chevelle. This song is called Rabbit Hole Cowards Part 1, alongside a North American tour the band just announced, with support from Asking Alexandria and Dead Poets Society. And we've also got the first new song in 4 years from Evanescence. Hard to believe it's been that long. The song is called Afterlife, and it's featured in the Netflix series Devil May Cry. It appears the band is also working on a new album. And speaking of new albums, we've got a couple new records that I'm really excited about dropping this week. We've got a new record from the mighty Arch Enemy called Blood Dynasty, out everywhere now this week via Century Media. You've also got new Deafheaven, the record called Lonely People with Power, out everywhere now by way of Roadrunner Records. And wouldn't you know it, we've also got a brand new record from Sick Puppies called Wave the Bull. I've always loved this band. Check out their new music as well. Be sure to check out all the amazing music. And speaking of Deftones, who we talked about earlier, I want to shout them out because they met up with a fan named John who came out to their show in Charlotte. And working with the amazing folks at Living the Dream Foundation, he got to hang out with the band, and he's an incredibly strong person, going through a very tragic car crash a few years ago, and also now dealing with a diagnosis of stage 4 melanoma. Sending all my love out to John, and I'm so glad you got to have an amazing experience with the mighty Deftones. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Rockfeed After Dark this week. Thank you if you're new here. Be sure to subscribe with notifications on, and consider joining the Feed Fam. $4.99. Get emojis, early access to videos and interviews, and so much more. Check out the link in the description.